Welcome to Greater Good Radio Hawaii, where leaders inspire leaders. Greater Good Radio Hawaii is dedicated to social entrepreneurship. I'm your host, Evan Leong, and with me is my co-host, Carrie Leong.
Today's guest is Clint Churchill, trustee of the Estate of James Campbell and former commander of Hawaii Air National Guard. Mr. Churchill also serves as president of Acroflight Inc. and is on the board of directors for several organizations such as Hawaii Pacific Health, Boy Scouts of America, and several others. Please welcome to Greater Good Radio, Clint Churchill. Welcome to our show, Clint.
Thank you. This
is a pretty easy question to start with, but as trustee, do you have a normal daily routine?
Sure do. Still at the office every day, even though the trust itself is in the winding down mode. And I've got the baton for this year as chairman, so that's kind of the point of contact with attorneys and the accounting firm and so forth for issues that may come up. But my day is less involved with estate matters as it was in the past than it is community activities such as Pacific Aviation Museum, Pearl Harbor, that probably takes the biggest chunk of time.
You know, your experience in the National Guard, what's the most exciting thing that you experienced in that?
The single most exciting thing?
Yeah. Can you pick out one?
Well, you think of some of the near misses that happened in the air. I was fortunate to fly for 30 years as a fighter pilot in the Air Guard, F-15s, F-4s, and back to the F-102 days. So a lot of air-to-air combat training, and even though it's a somewhat controlled environment, lots of rules and rules of engagement, we call it, there's still times when it's exciting up there with lots of planes trying to get to one piece of sky at the same time, and it's just a challenging but very rewarding kind of a avocation, if you will.
When you decided to make the transition to civilian life, how was that for you?
Well, my National Guard career was actually in parallel with my civilian career. I joined the Tucson Air Guard right out of college, and started a civilian career for about a year and a half waiting to go to pilot training. And that was about a 2-year process. That's actually what got us, my wife and me, to Hawaii. And I'm talking 39 years ago now. So after 5 or 6 months of flying full-time at the Air Guard, kind of getting your feet on the ground and pulling some alert duty, I was able to look for a civilian position and started out with Touche Ross & Company, which is now Deloitte & Touche in management consulting. So that started my business career here in Hawaii.
Did you know what you wanted to go into, or did you kind of fall into that?
Well, I got my MBA right out of college, so I had an interest in financial related activities, so this seemed to make sense. It was a lot of analytical work, systems work, implementation work, feasibility studies, so kind of in the same vein of what MBA training was all about. In the year and a half or so that I had before going to pilot training, I was a controller of a medium-sized company in Phoenix, and so picked up some, learned a fair bit about accounting and systems at that company.
Is it hard to manage your time when you're in the National Guard?
It's a challenge. Having a civilian career and a Guard career is a real challenge, and having a family life. So you have to attempt to balance all three and prioritize. It's not easy on the family, so the commitment to the Guard and through me to our country is really the family's commitment as well. And I was very fortunate to have a wonderful wife and 3 great sons that supported what I was doing, and it worked out. Still married, and the 3 boys have grown up to be very responsible citizens in the community, I feel. But life is about priorities. You do have to figure out what you want to do and where your opportunities are, and how to balance the different demands on your time.
Can you give our listeners any tips on how to figure out balance? Sometimes people think they have a balanced life, and then they compare it to someone else, and then they realize, maybe I'm not so balanced. Some tips on how you maintained a balanced life during that time.
Well, I would say family comes first. And with family is really yourself. I think having an active life and taking on a lot means being healthy. Exercise has always been important to me. I've kept up my tennis over the years and jogging and other things, so it gives you more energy. I find out when I don't have an opportunity to exercise as much, I've got less energy. So having got energy, number one, and then the family part, working things out with the wife, give and take, who does what, is just something that every husband and wife have to do. And then as the family is growing and the more demands there and trying to be a good dad and so forth, you just have to do your best.
Don't you have to be in good physical shape to be a pilot?
Reasonably good shape, yeah. You are pulling G's. In the case of the F-15, it's about 9.4 G airplane, so you're...
What does that feel like? I mean, you say 9.4 Gs. What is that on your body?
Well, that's the compression from making a tight turn, whether it's up or down or just a level turn. It's like putting a plane on the end of a string, so it's a centrifugal force in effect that you feel from your head down to your tailbone. So 2 Gs is twice the weight on your body. So 9 Gs.
Do you feel like you're getting crushed, or how does it feel to you when you're flying?
A little bit like that. You're wearing a G-suit, and the G-suit inflates around your legs and around your stomach. It feels like it's cutting you in half. So that causes you to do what we call the L1 maneuver, which is to tense up your body to try to keep the blood from coming down from your brain, and to keep the blood in the upper part of your body, so your heart can keep you awake, so to speak. So when you pull too many G's, you start graying out. So the better shape you're in, the better you can do that L1 maneuver, the better you're going to endure and not be totally tired after one flight. Because sometimes you're called on to make perhaps 3 sorties in one day or something, and it can be pretty demanding.
Thanks, Clint. We'll talk more about that after the break. Thanks for tuning in. Stay tuned for more on Greater Good Radio.